Welcome to Finance and Business, everybody. I hope you all are ready to learn a couple things about potential ways that you can improve finance and business on your team. The main goal of this is to provide you with some ideas of general fundraising and specific implementations of both of our teams, so that way you can get some ideas of how different teams implement it in different ways. So, hi, my name's Kyle. I'm the Chief People Officer of the Buchanan Bird Brains Team 1671. I was the former finance director for our team, but he couldn't make it to this competition, so I'm filling in for him today.
Right. I also am Kyle, so Kyle Squared. That's how you know the presentation is going to be good. I'm the business and media lead for Team 1678 Citrus Circuits.
Okay, next slide. So,
yeah.
I want to start this off with a little question. Can I get some people raise their hands and tell me, what are you hoping to get out of this presentation? Any volunteers? Right there, what's up?
Alternate funding besides like grants.
Alternate funding, that is a good thing. Yes, we will cover that.
So like better ways to reach out to sponsorships.
Mhm,
Right.
Yep.
Super important.
I have a hand over there, I see.
Honestly, just some guidance. Our previous lead business members left and we didn't really have a paper trail, so learning from this would really help out. Yeah, we're in the
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely, yeah. That's good. Interesting. Anyone else? That's all good. Okay, so moving on. Next slide. You got that.
Right. And we're going to cover all these things from organization to specific strategies for requesting sponsorships to what to do once you've actually got those sponsorships. So let's first start off with these three things. It's going to be find, request, retain, right? So first, you got to know which sponsors to go for, right? Which companies, which grants. What are you actually going to go for, and what is going to be the most fruitful for hopefully the least amount of your time, right? We want to be efficient. You guys, we don't have all the time in the world, and finding sponsorships, picking which ones to actually go for is going to be super important. Next, we're going to go into request. So that's just like actually how to ask for sponsorships. You know, you wouldn't go up to a company or email them and be like, talking like it's your best friend, right? You want to be professional, and there are specific guidelines and strategies that have been tested in war that we should be able to teach you guys. Once you got that down, you know, you found a sponsor, you contacted them, they agreed to give you money. Now you need to grow those roots, you know, deepen those existing ties, because cultivating relationships is going to be super important, right? It's always fun to go sponsorship hunting, but what's even more important, arguably, is keeping those sponsors so that you can grow as a team along with them.
Yes, absolutely. Next slide. Okay, so transitioning into how to find sponsors. We're going to go over some 4 different categories of sponsors that we've identified for you guys today. So starting off with local businesses. These are your mom and pop shops. These are your local like Walmarts and stuff, right? These are the people that are maybe looking to invest a little bit of extra money into a local FRC team, right? Invest in the youth in their community. These are typically going to be smaller donations, but they're also very invaluable because of the connections you're building with people in your community, and those are worth a whole lot. Next thing is corporations with local locations. An example for our team would be we have a sponsorship from Lockheed Martin, which we've had for a couple years now. They have sponsored us because we have a son of one of their workers on the team, and we're able to continue to foster that growth with them because they have a location near our shop. Other one is major companies. So these are going to be similar to corporations without with local locations, just without the local locations. So these are going to be the kind of things that you're looking for. PG&E. These are going to be all your big tech companies and stuff that you're going to look for in typically grants is what you're going to do if they don't have a local location. So that's what you're going to look for there. And then finally, family and community members. These guys are going to be like your rock. You can almost always rely on the family members of your students, of the community members to help in and pitch out. It's really invaluable help, and it may not seem like a lot, but if you stack it up over enough teammates, it's huge. And a big place to look for community members would be specifically looking for like alumni is a good place. If they're like feeling nostalgic for the good old days when they were on your FRC team, that is a great place to see if they'd be willing to help continue furthering what they worked for when they were on the team.
Right, and personal connections are going to be huge in all of these.
Yes. Next slide.
All right, so donations in plain sight. Again, a lot of people like to go for those flashy grants or flashy sponsorships, Apple, Nvidia, Google. But oftentimes the best sponsorships, and this is going to be a theme that you see all throughout this presentation, are those that may be a little smaller but will stack up. And one of the best ways to do that is to cultivate and grow those connections. So a lot of the times you can get sponsorships from team members' parents. Maybe they could match donations from their employer, or maybe their employer wants to actually donate to the team. Maybe a mentor or coach works for an organization that could be interested in supporting the team simply because one of their employees supports that team. So personal connections and these sort of mundane, everyday sponsorships are going to be super important, right? All those personal connections are going to come back and keep fulfilling and keep giving.
Yep. Next slide. Okay, so this is a list of our top sponsors. I'm not going to go over each and every one of them, but some highlights that may be applicable to your guys' teams. Clovis Unified School District, we're able to leverage a decent amount of money out of our school district every year. They support us very graciously, very happy for that. Lockheed Martin, like I talked about. A lot of our main sponsors are fall under the category of corporations with local locations. MK Electric, Valley Iron, Kaiser, CSM Aviation, PG&E. A lot of those will fall under that category. We do a lot of grants as well, and this most recent one, the Kiwanis Club Clovis, we were able to leverage a sponsorship from that organization, which is like a big community service organization, and most cities have them, so that's a good place to look as well. Next
Right,
slide.
and going into Citrus Circuit sponsors, you see a lot, DJUSD, our school district, while they might not provide direct cash support, what they do provide is maybe buses to competitions or other sort of off-books donations that end up saving a ton of money for your team, right? Like transportation, competition expenses can be super expensive, and anything can help. Going into sort of FRC sponsors, that's WCP, right? They're a big supplier of parts. If you can get an in-kind or store credit donation, that is going to be super useful. Hingsterfers, Fabworks, those are some sort of manufacturing FRC, again, oriented teams. Well, no, organizations that could be interested in supporting your team because maybe you buy a lot from them, or maybe you could spread the goodwill, right? If you are an FRC team and you have an FRC supplier on your robot or on your merch, other FRC teams could see that and start using that supplier, right? So it's a branding thing as well. We've got Tesco Controls, that's a corporation with a location near our home city, Davis. UC Davis, right, the university. So any institution that has deep ties to your surrounding area can be super useful as well. Sacramento Kings was a more personal contact, so that we'll get into that as well. But again, we've got Gene Haas Foundation, Bamboo Lab, those are grants, in-kind donations. They give us a lot of filament for 3D printers. So anything really helps.
Okay, next slide. Any questions about this first section? Not seeing any hands. Oh, right there.
Can I know how you guys got your sponsor with Bamboo Labs?
Right, so Bamboo Labs, I don't have too much information on this because I wasn't super involved in it. It was during an off season. They donated some 3D printers and they continue to donate filaments. But what I do know is that we have a steady contact through one of our coaches. One of our coaches knows someone in Bamboo Labs, and it's a lot easier when you know someone, and you don't have to necessarily know someone from the get-go, right? You can start with a cold email or cold call, which we'll get into, but the point is try to have that steady contact so you know who to consistently talk to, and they'll sort of start to like you, right? People want to do good things for people that they know. Yes?
I was curious, what's your success rate for writing grants?
Yeah, do you want to answer that first?
So, I would say, that's a good question, honestly. I don't know off the top of my head. If I had to estimate, I'd probably say 40 to 50%. Grants oftentimes are very stingy because like these companies have so many people applying to them without necessarily like having the funds to support all of them. So it's not necessarily like because of who your team is, it's just because of the competition of everyone else around you, right? Obviously there is a lot of work that goes into submitting a grant, but a lot of the factors that go into you getting the grant are kind of out of your control. So I think that like for us, 40 to 50% is like a really good goal to be able to be writing those kind of grants and getting that kind of money. You obviously would hope for the 100% at the end of the day, but it's kind of like out of our control at that point, yeah.
That's really good, 40%.
Thank you. All right, I see a question over there.
In order to apply to the local university, what way of contact did you use?
Right, so UC Davis is again a community institution, right, serves California, but also it's right in Davis. So what was helpful was there used to be this thing called the Council of Deans, not anymore. But what we would do is we would go present to all the colleges, including the Chancellor's office at once. And that would be a great way to sort of get everything done at once. Again, they are a university, so they're interested in supporting education efforts in their community and beyond. Because, you know, if you help support a STEM team, you know, you're going to grow kids who are interested in STEM and might want to apply to that college, right? So it is a transaction, but a lot of the times it is out of goodwill as well. There.
So at the beginning, you talked about how we should keep these relationships professional, and however, reaching out through friend of a friend or friend into a company is more of a interpersonal thing, I think, and also just working up that constant relationship between somewhere. Do you think we should go to a point where it's more of a casual sponsorship relationship, or keep it professional, or something else? I don't know.
So I would say like what you're describing does not necessarily make it casual. It's just because you got it through an acquaintance or a family member or whatever, does not necessarily make it a casual relationship, right? You are still a professional organization, you're a professional team, and just because of the way you got that sponsorship doesn't have to impact how that relationship is. So what I would focus on is just making sure that you are maintaining your professionalism when trying to maintain that relationship, and making sure that it is a professional relationship with that company.
Right, and that doesn't mean you have to be all cold and stony-faced. Like, you can be friendly, but make sure to be professional.
Absolutely.
When you're giving a tour or whatever, or when you're emailing them, make sure to say hi, introduce yourself, you know, use email introductions and sign-offs, and write in a professional and clear way, because at the end of the day, they're not your best friend, even though it can be friendly, and it should, you know, at a certain point.
Okay. You all good?
All right.
Perfect. All right,
So-
next slide. So, let's see.
All right, so requesting a donation is another big part. When we get into that, having an organized budget is incredibly important, not just for getting sponsorships, but also for your own team. And that's because great. So when you organize your expenses and your transactions and your income, you know how much you're getting, you know where money is flowing, and sponsors know where their money is going as well. So on Citrus Circuits, we like to keep track of it on Google Sheets. Google Sheets, Excel, it's pretty much the same thing. Either way is fine. We just like Google because Google Suite is pretty much what everyone in school uses. But we use Google Sheets along with an add-on called Tiller HQ. And that's just a Google extension you can get. And what it does is, if you do have a team credit card, right, so if you do have a team credit card, Tiller HQ, or any credit card, Tiller HQ takes all credit card transactions and puts it directly into that spreadsheet. So let's say I spend $15 on gas for getting to a competition, or maybe I spend $500 on scrap metal. I'm not a big splurge. What Tiller does is that automatically puts it into the spreadsheet, into that Google Sheet, and make sure that all the information is there. And you can categorize it, you can play around with it. We have many different subsheets. We put expenses, income, transactions, everything on there. And that keeps everything organized, not just for your sponsors, but also for yourselves. Organization is super important because that's pretty much how you take care of yourselves, right? In a shop, you wouldn't expect, or in the pits, you wouldn't expect your cart to be full of like random gum and parts and scrap metal. You want it clean and meticulous so that your pit crew knows exactly what they need to do and doesn't have to get their minds mixed up with anything filler. It's the same thing with finance and online organization.
And then the table you have on screen is an example from our last year's sponsor packet, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But this is included our budget. It totals to $107,750, I believe is the total. So running an FRC team is no joke. It's really expensive. So having like a set budget so you know where all your money is going to is actually very helpful to make sure that you're not overspending during your time.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about grants. These are like the heavy hitters. This is what you want. I know this is what a lot of you want. So what is a grant? A grant is a donation that companies provide to organizations that they want to support. These donations are typically obtained through applications, which typically have like long or short, depends on the company for size of the grant, but the grants will typically have questions that are going to be aimed at determining what is your impact, why should this company sponsor you, and what makes you special that should like set you apart from other people applying for the same grant. So a couple things that you can do to help your chances when submitting a grant are aligning your values or aligning your answers of the grant questions with some of the values that are provided on the potential sponsor's website. So for example, say I wanted to apply for a PG&E grant, say that. I could go to the PG&E website, I could go to the About Us section, and I could search for the values of the company. And if they really valued teamwork, example, right? I would typically gear my answers in my grant towards explaining how our team exemplifies teamwork, right? You want to steer your answers in that direction because if you demonstrate shared values, it creates that sense of connection between between the team and the company, and helps them decide that this is the team that they want to support. Another thing, keep your answers specific. If they're too vague, it's going to be too hard for the company to actually see what it is you do. Keeping them specific is really good for making sure that they know what you are about. And then also, a big thing you want to do is potentially state what it is that the sponsor is going to get in return, right? This is not a this should not be a one-way relationship. It is a business relationship. It should be transactional. So if you can tell the sponsors what it is that they will be receiving because they're sponsoring you, it's a huge thing. We have in our sponsor packet, again, talk about it later, a list of all sponsor benefits depending on how much it is that the sponsor donates. And that is huge, so they can see what it is they're donating for and what they get in return for it. What do you have to offer them as well? And then obviously you want to mention the purpose of the grant. There's a lot of grants that are focused towards a specific project, right? People will not necessarily fund just a team, but they would be willing to fund a specific project by that team. So say you wanted to host an outreach event. Say you were trying to host an FRC event, something like that, right? If you can explain why that event will be successful, why it will be important, and properly demonstrate the financial need that you have for that event, it's a huge way to be able to leverage that event as a way to get a sponsorship from the grant.
Right, and one big thing to remember is that anyone reading this grant is also going to be a human, right? Actually, it's funny, we're in an English classroom, so that's very relevant. Mm-hmm. Every sentence could be shorter. What you want to do is be concise and be clear. You want to engage your reader and make them want to fight for you in their mind, build some personal connection, and that doesn't have to be through anything flashy, right? None of us here, at least I think none of us here, are championship impact award winners, right? We're not Hall of Fame, we're not crazy like that Project Bucephalus this year. Mm-hmm. But no matter what you can do, it's always going to be impactful, right? That farmer's market that maybe you have a stand at is super important. Maybe you go to an elementary school and you host some sort of robotics project or STEM exploration. That is also super useful because these employers, these corporations want community goodwill and they want to do good for their community. So if you can build that sort of rapport with your reader and make them engaged, your chances of getting that grant are going to increase dramatically.
Yes. Next slide. So, now what is cold calling? Cold calling is another way of getting a donation. It's where you will basically just pick up the phone, dial an organization or a business's number, and ask for a donation request. Our team typically wouldn't do this for a bigger company that may be providing grants like PG&E or like all those tech companies, but it'll be a better idea for local companies. So an example from our team is every year we host like an open house, and part of that open house is we have a silent auction. To be able to get those silent auction items to like sell off to people at the event, we don't have all that money to like be providing that. So what we do is we contact people in the community, different businesses and stuff, and we'll ask, hey, would you be willing to donate this, or this to be able to support this fundraiser for us? It would mean a whole lot, and it's a really good way. I believe our I think we got the donations over a period of like 3 months, and I think we were able to get like a total of $6,500 out of that fundraiser on that day, which was like super awesome. So it is very successful, and that's good. So some tips for making cold calls is, one, have a script, have a general outline of what you're going to say before you actually like, pick up the phone. It helps calm down your nerves, and it helps you be better prepared for when that time comes that you're actually like, calling them on the phone, in case you get like a little bit lost and forget what to say. Two, you want to have good behavior, like we were saying, like be confident, be courteous, be respectful, be GP. We love GP in here, guys. Everybody loves GP. Be gracious professionals. And of course, number three, this is like something that may seem kind of obvious, but just in case, you want to make sure that you are writing down contact info in case like they give you like an email when you're calling them, so that way you're always prepared to be able to continue reaching out to make sure you continue that connection. I see a hand back there.
Yeah, so for your auction, whatever that item was sold for, let's say like $3,000, does that business, because the value of that item is $3,000, does that business now get a $3,000 tax exemption for the business?
I don't think that's how that works. I don't know.
Because businesses, when they take a loss, they can do a tax write-off.
I think it's based. I'm pretty sure, Karen, you want to answer that.
I'm Karen. I'm one of the mentors of 1671.
Yeah.
So typically what our team does when they go out and ask for silent auctions, they get a collection of items, and then we have our parent boosters and the team members create a basket. So if, let's say, company A decides they donate a $50 item, you can give them a tax deductible letter in the amount of $50. But that may go into an overall basket
Right.
that is maybe worth, let's say, $50.
Okay. I was thinking more like high-ticket items or like one singular big thing. So
If they do that, then you can do, then you would be, if they're donating a $3,000 item,
Yeah.
then that's what you would put on the tax evasion. But if the item they donate, let's say is 1,000, but it sells for 3,000, it's still 1,000, because that's what the item is worth.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It's just like what is coming out of the company's pocket when they're donating it. Henry, what's up?
So when you're talking about cold calls, do you think it's more effective for a local business if you go to the business physically to ask for the sponsorship, or to cold call them?
Don't worry, we're going to talk about that. I think, in my opinion, I think in-person requesting is going to be like more effective because you have that face-to-face connection. Again, we'll talk about it, but if I were you, I would recommend that. But this is just like one way we do it.
And oftentimes cold calling isn't the be-all, end-all.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a way to, infiltrate into that corporation's, into those employees' minds, and maybe even set up that in-person request.
Okay, next slide.
All right, getting into in-person requests. Anyways, we've got 3 main points here. So yeah, maybe you've cold emailed or cold called, or you had a contact, and all of a sudden you're at this corporation's doorstep. You don't want to necessarily just show up unannounced with your robot and team and everything. Generally, it's just going to be better to already have that agreed upon time. Maybe this is even on Zoom, or Microsoft Teams. But the point is sort of set that up ahead of time and then come prepared. So you're going to want to bring a lot of team info, maybe a slideshow, or actually a slideshow is very useful. And then maybe even a sponsored packet or brochure. I know on Team 1678, we have a sponsored packet that's a PDF. And it basically has information about our team, just a brief rundown of Citrus Circuits, and also, importantly, what sponsors get from sponsoring us. So we're in the unique, we have the opportunity to have a 501c3 nonprofit. If you don't have one, that's fine, but if you do have one, mention that because that is important for tax deductions. But the packet also does have more information about sponsorship levels. So we'll talk about that more a little later, but we do have themed levels, with various different benefits for different sponsors. Importantly, you do want to be confident, right? You're a high schooler, going up to these companies, and although you may not realize it, what you do is actually really incredible, right? You guys are on this team that travels, you go to competitions, you build a 115-pound robot each year, and that's not normal, right? A lot of high schoolers are just like sitting in bed or on the couch, scrolling, and you guys are out here doing something, showing up to companies like adults, and that really tells a lot, and adults are going to be impressed by that. So be confident, right? You're not trying to prove too much. You shouldn't be scared. I don't think that any adult is really preying on your downfall here. What you really want is to be confident, to calm yourself, and give the best presentation you can. And this, again, goes into knowing your worth. If you have any outreach or competitive success, mention that. Mention the small things. Mention the big things. Mention anything that aligns with the company. Just anything that could get you, get your foot in the door, and then get that sponsorship is going to be super important, even if you may not think that it's the most impressive thing on the roster.
Next slide. So I'll briefly go over some of these examples. I already talked about open house, but at farmers markets we hold booths, and at those farmers markets we have sponsor packets available in order to provide people walking around these farmers markets say, hey, that's a pretty cool organization. I want to donate to them. So we're just always at the ready, prepared to be able to help people if they would like to donate to us and sell ourselves on them. The Mayor's Breakfast is an interesting thing. We got an opportunity for the past 3 years to volunteer serving drink and food at the Clovis Mayor's Breakfast, which is a yearly event where the Clovis mayor invites like a whole bunch of representatives from different organizations, not only around Clovis, but the entire Central Valley. And it's a really good time, and we're able to not only network with people at those from those big time organizations, but also we're able to get a donation from the Clovis Community Foundation as a result of volunteering there. We also will invite sponsors to our shop. I have a picture somewhere else in the slideshow, but an example I would give is Kaiser Corporation. They're a, I don't know how many people know this, they're a Fresno-based gym equipment manufacturing company, and they're big time. They have their kind of bikes in NBA facilities and stuff like that. So we were able to get a connection to them, and we were able to invite them to our shop for a tour, and that was what got us a $2,500 donation that time and continued relationship throughout the past year. And last time is we visited companies. Speaking of Kaiser Corporation again, just recently, about sometime over summer, a group of our team members got to go visit the actual facilities of Kaiser Corporation. So we're kind of trying to establish that relationship where not only do we invite them to our facilities, they invite us to their facilities, and we're able to establish that connection that way. Next slide.
Right, and well, maybe not so surprisingly, but a lot of that applies to our team as well, right? So we do have a farmers market in Davis as well. Our booth there that we set up every Saturday was our first sort of outreach activity. And it sounds simple at first, but it builds community strength, right? You never know who you're going to bump into, and plus it's good to get your name out in the community anyways. And this is just a picture of a little kid playing with blocks. We got our little Vex robots and everything up there, just for people to play around and have fun with and see what Citrus Circuits is about. So another two big things are robot demos and shop tours. So when talking about robot demonstrations, we do have a dedicated coordinator for that. We go around to the community and maybe different sponsors, potential sponsors, and we do give little demonstrations of our robot and of our team just to keep us fresh in their minds or introduce ourselves. Another big thing is shop tours, and this is a tour from DMG Mori. So DMG Mori has a big manufacturing facility in Davis, and they invited us, I think last year, yeah. So they invited us last year to tour the facilities, and that sort of deepens the ties as well, right? When we're inviting them and they're inviting us, again, like Kyle said, and like Kyle is saying now, it really builds that sort of rapport that is so important in engaging your sponsors. Another big thing is Robot Reveal Night. That's sort of our team's version of open house, but it's where we invite sponsors and community members and parents to see our robot for the first time. And that is also super useful for updating the community about what we do.
Next slide. So, a couple other tips that relate to fundraising and stuff. It's a lot of words, I know. I'll try and get through it quickly. So, we use a grant database similar to what Kyle was saying and what Kyle is saying now. I pulled it back. We're able to record all of our donations in one spot and be able to make sure that people from New Year's are able to go and look back at previous year's sponsored databases and see, we got a donation from blah 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 team or organization. Maybe we could potentially try and get a donation from them again, and just try and establish that, reestablish that connection. So it's good to be able to keep track of I think we have at least 15 years of sponsored database in our Google Drive, which is super epic. We also have an in-back binder at the ready. It's basically just a collection of all of our team's outreach from day one, and we're able to bring that to outreach events. We're able to bring it to sponsor visits and give it as a way to say, hey, this is a deeper overview of the kind of stuff that we do, and this is the reason why you should sponsor us. And then we have a financial season timeline, which I think is pretty beneficial to anyone, not just us. So from June to November is big time grants. We are mass filling out grants as much as we can. This is the time when tax season is approaching for those bigger organizations, and we want to be able to offer those companies, say, hey, we're a 501c3. If you can donate to us before tax season hits, that's going to be a tax deductible for you. And it's a big way that we're able to leverage the 501c3 as a way to get a sponsorship from them. And then from November to February, our open house is always in February or March. So that is our big time preparing for our open house event. It's cold calling businesses, in-person requesting at local businesses to try and get those silent auction items I was referencing earlier. And then from February to April, we'll do just primarily Champs fundraising. We're trying to reach out, cold calling, emailing, anything we can do to try and get a quick sponsorship or whatever to raise that money for Champs, because you obviously don't know if you're going to Champs or not until now, week 6 for sure. So you have a lot of last minute fundraising to do before that hits, and we always try to end up with at least $30,000 rolling over from the previous season, so that we're able to continue and have money prepared that is set aside for next season's competitions and fees and stuff like that. Next slide.
Right, and so here on Citrus Circuits, we also do it in a similar way. Timeline is everything. From summer to, let's start with summer. That's going to be big time robot demos and sponsor presentations, seeking out new potential sponsors, or just regular current sponsors who maybe haven't seen enough of us, or maybe do want those presentations. It's, you're a lot freer in the summer than during the school year, so it's great to utilize that time for productive work. Going into September to November is grant season again, because a lot of those grants open up and close around that time. And then going into September to January, our merch drops in January. We have that season kickoff order for everyone, and as you can see, we do have all the sponsors, not all the sponsors, but a select amount of sponsors, and that comes with the tiers, on the shirt. So it's important for us to finalize sponsors before then, right? So we're getting those September to January, just so that we know who to put on the shirt, who to put on the robot, who to put on the website, right? And it also keeps everything organized, because you don't want to be just doing everything willy-nilly, right? You want to create those sort of guidelines for yourself and for future business and finance connoisseurs on your team. Organization is huge, right? So on my team, we have a Google Drive for the team and for the sort of management aspect of the team. And that includes our budget spreadsheet, but it's also super well organized. We have sub-teams for, right, like business and media, hardware design, or whatever. Those each have their own folders. Within those, there are subfolders for business and media, and organization and procedures. Within those, there are subfolders for grants, subfolders for different fundraising activity for different seasons, for different grants themselves, right? Like maybe the 2025 PG&E grant might have a different subfolder than the 2025 base systems grant. So it's important to keep that level of stringent organization, because then you know where everything is. Maybe you want to reapply for a grant, or you want to apply for a different grant that could be similar to past grants. You can go in, get those past grants, tweak them up a little, revise them to how they should be just for that specific instance, and it's a lot easier than reinventing the wheel and doing everything from scratch and digging through hours and hours of unorganized mess. You wouldn't want your regular robot or your PIDs to be disorganized, and similarly to that, you don't want your online organization to be messy either. And that goes into the sponsor packet. That's just basic information about the team and sponsorship tiers. And we have that up right here. This is just a bit of it. It includes core values, a brief overview of who we are, and then on the other page, sponsorship levels and benefits.
Next slide. So, getting into some other ideas for non-monetary donations that you can look for. These are just some examples that we've noticed and we've gotten in the past. So obviously you can ask directly for robot parts. We have, not necessarily robot parts specifically, but we fill out grants with WCP, West Coast Products, which is an FRC parts company, and we're able to get a gift card that is used directly for those kind of parts from that company, which is super, super helpful, because they're the people that supply the Kraken motors, which are, yes, we need those. And other thing we've gotten is the XRP robots, which I don't know if you guys remember, but these are the things that Dean Kamen made back in, like, what was it, 24, 23? And they're basically little mini robots where our team is able to use them as like practice programming, because they use the same programming languages as your typical FRC robot in just a much smaller scale. So you're able to teach members how to program like that. I think we got a grant for, what was it, like 10 of them? It was a whole bunch of XRP robots. So we have like a whole bunch of those on standby to help train new members. We also have gotten a whole bunch of materials like wood, metal, Lexan, to help build our field when we're trying to, when the game comes out and we have to remake the whole field again. So it's good to have like a steady supply of all those different parts, those different materials, so we're able to have like scrap on deck to be able to build those things. Silent auction gift backs is already talked about. Gift cards falls into the same thing. We usually ask for gift cards for either a specific company to buy parts from them, buy materials from them, or as a way of getting things for the silent auction gift baskets. We put those in there as well. And then finally, Food and volunteers. We have a lot of outreach events, and people at those outreach events, sometimes they'll last like 8 hours, 9 hours, long days. Those guys get hungry, and you want to keep your volunteers well fed so they're able to properly do their job throughout what they're volunteering at, and make sure that the event runs smoothly. So we're able to get donations for bagels for breakfast or whatever kind of lunch we want, right? And that kind of stuff. Next slide. Any questions about this section? I see a hand right here.
I have 2 questions. First, you both fund large teams with a lot of members, a lot, of students, right? I'm funding for like a 20-person team.
Yeah.
Doesn't win every competition.
Right.
And so, how do you think your budget scales to a smaller team like that?
Yeah, so budget is super important, and a lot of this stuff, like maybe you won't be doing massive outreach or massive transportation costs, but the principles are the same. You want to remain organized, clean, have that spreadsheet, have that flow of credit cards. Maybe if you don't have a team credit card, any credit cards that your coaches use to buy materials or anything else. You want flowing into that spreadsheet, and you also just want those clear-cut categories, right? Categories for your design team, or maybe your electrical team or your software team, for fundraising or for media and promotional purposes. You want all those categories so you know exactly what you're spending on, where to maybe cut costs or where to divert more resources to the most efficient activity. Especially for a smaller team, it is super important to be meticulous and strategic about how you spend money, and keeping an organized budget is one of the best ways to learn how to keep that going.
The second question, how long should a sponsorship packet be, do you think, like in pages?
It doesn't have to be like a set limit. I mean, it should be no more than 5, I think. Our sponsor packet is 2 pages front and back. I think yours is 1 page front and back.
Yeah, ours is 1 page front and back, and
there's no specific guideline for it. It's just like however you want to be able to convey your information, what like fits best for your team. Whatever you think makes the most sense is the way you want to go. But keep it like, not too long. That's the goal.
right. The goal with a sponsor packet is typically to just get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
So you'll have later, more information in presentations or emails.
Right here.
You guys also mentioned Killer HQ, what you use to put the credit cards. Is that like a paid thing, or is it just an extension you can add where you just put in
So-
the credit card and anything?
Yeah, great question. Tiller HQ is fortunately free. It's just a Google add-on. Anyone can use it. I think it's mostly geared towards personal finance, but it works great for FRC teams.
And then, so basically, any single time you make a purchase, as long as that credit is in the extension, it'll just go straight into the spreadsheet.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you have to manually go and click the fill sheet button, and then it'll fill everything in. But the point is, yeah, you'll get all the credit card transactions in there.
Anything else before we move on to our last section? Okay, perfect. Next slide. So, arguably one of the most important parts is how to retain your sponsors. This is a really huge thing. We've already alluded to this a lot, so we're going to go over this again, but maybe some more specific details. So, big thing is you want to keep your sponsors informed on what's happening on your team. So, we like to do on our team, we have this thing called a robotics review, which is a bi-weekly newsletter that we'll send out to our sponsors and community members and parents. And it's basically a way for us to recap everything that's going on during build season, recap everything that happened during off season, all that stuff. So we keep our sponsors engaged with with everything that's going on in our team. So that way they feel like they are a part of the team in a way, right? That's the whole goal. You want to make them feel like you have that connection. Make them feel like a part of the team is a huge, huge thing. And another big thing is you got to make sure that, anything that you promise, please get it to them. It's going to look bad on your team if you're unable to meet your promised things that you said. So if that means then setting your promises too high, that's all fine. Just make sure that you set realistic promises that you know you can keep, so that way you don't butcher that relationship with the sponsor.
Yeah, sometimes you want to under-promise, over-deliver, right?
Mhm.
You don't want to set expectations too high or too low either way.
Yep. Next slide.
Right, so another big thing is, and I showed this earlier, but you want this, I mean, you got to keep in mind that this is a business transaction. So a lot of the times sponsors do want that community goodwill and just community outreach, right? Maybe an FRC supplier would love for them to be on your robot or on your shirt because other FRC teams in the venue will see that everywhere you go, thousands of people, thousands of eyes will be on your robot and on your shirts, and they'll maybe find out, hey, wait, all these teams have that supplier. Why don't we try to get that? You know, that could be useful for our team. So you want your sponsor's logo and information on your website, your social media, your robot, your shirts. You also want those benefits and sort of mentions. We do shout out posts on social media. You guys do too.
Mm-hmm. We'll show
Um,
examples on that in the next slide, basically.
And then we do have various benefits for those sponsors that engages them, that pulls them in, because it's not just a one-way road, as Kyle was saying. And fine, I'll do it. As Kyle is saying now, it's a two-way street. It goes both ways. It's a business transaction, and you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. So here are some examples of the way we do things. This is our Instagram post. Unfortunately, our biggest post was our least liked post, which is very sad. But those were our platinum level sponsors. We have tiers. We both do. Ours are just like have different names. So platinum level is 5,000 plus. So those are all the organizations that donated that much money. And then on our website, we do the same thing where we have every tier of sponsor listed, and then we include the logos of those sponsors on the section that they are on. And then, next slide.
Right, and we do a similar thing, right? This is just another Instagram post, and on our website, we have all those we have all those logos, all those tiers. We name ours after fruit. So going from kumquat, the smallest, to lime, lemon, orange, grapefruit, and then pomelo, the biggest. And that just corresponds with the different sponsorship levels, you know, citrus circuits. It's nice to brand it if you can. It doesn't have to necessarily be strictly connected to your team, but it is a fun little quirk.
Yes.
And we do have benefits such as the logo on the website, the shirt, like we mentioned. We do tours at Sacramento Regional, which is right here. Sacramento District event, I guess, next year. But we had DMG Mori, that local that corporation with that local manufacturing facility. A lot of their team members came in, and we gave them a tour. We sort of told them what was going on. We showed them a few matches, and they loved it. It engages them. It helps them see what you guys are doing all season long, because it is a lot of work you guys are putting in. So it's important to always be openly communicating and publicizing your sponsors. Unless they don't want you to. There are a couple rare cases, but for the most part, sponsors love publicity.
Okay, next slide. So these are just a couple of the ways that we try to make sure our sponsors feel appreciated. So we send thank you notes, typically by mail. Some of them are by email if it's like, you know, super far away. But for the most part, it's we send mailed letters. We have like a custom template where we have a banner of our team photos, like everyone on the team like in a row, and then we include our message on there. We have the finance director every year sign the message. We also provide them with tours of our facilities for our top sponsors. So like I alluded to, this is the Kaiser Corporation visit I was talking about. Those are a couple of the people that came to our shop and got to see the kind of machines that we use, how our robot functions and all that stuff, which was really cool. And then another thing, like I mentioned, actually no, I didn't mention that. It's open house related, but our open house, like Kyle talked about, it's a way for people to, like, we invite our sponsors, community members, all those people that are like important to our team. And in past years, we provided them with sponsor plaques, which are the little things right there. It got a little costly, so we kind of stopped doing that. But it's good to make the sponsors feel appreciated and like recognized at a big event like our open house. Next slide.
Right. So again, we do those monthly newsletters. We do that robot reveal night, and sometimes personalized videos and presentations depending on the sponsor. So newsletters are for everyone, including parents, community members, alumni, and sponsors. This is actually from the DMG Mori visit to our shop. So they were at robot reveal night. We just gave them a few shirts. I talked with them about the team, talked with them about their sponsorship and their contributions to the team, and that sort of, it comes naturally at a certain point. But again, it is nice to have a little script. Try to come somewhat prepared. You don't have to be totally robotic about it, even though we are robotics teams. It's good to be able to just pick up a conversation whenever you can, though. And these personalized videos are for those really big sponsors. Presentations are, again, for select cases as well.
Next slide. So, this is the end of our presentation. So, we have to have you fill out the QR code on the left is a link to a feedback form for this presentation. So please fill this out. They will get mad at us if you don't fill it out. Thank you very much. And then the QR code on the right, this year Team 1671 is providing like a bunch of sampled resources for all the things we talked about in all our presentations, including the slideshows themselves. So that link right there, that QR code, is links to a Google folder with a whole bunch of resources for each of the different workshops we had hosted this year. So you could just click on the finance and business one, which includes like a sponsor packet and some other sample stuff that you may be interested in. So any questions?
Q&A.
Right here.
I'm just curious, like, obviously, by the way, it's a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You both accomplished a lot, and I'm seeing the budget. I'm really wowed by it. And I'm just curious, like, how big is your business and finance team? How many students?
So on our team, I believe we have, off the top of my head, it's 5 or 6 members.
That's it?
Yes.
Oh my.
So granted, we have people that will come in and help, like that are not necessarily like specifically finance members. Oh.
I think he said business members not coming.
Oh, business members. Well, I mean, kind of he's talking about, but yeah. So we have a business side on our team. We have technical and business. Business is like including finance and like all the outreach and stuff that we do. That whole side of the team is closer to like 25 total people, and people on that side of the team generally tend to help out where they can because it is the smaller portion of the team compared to the technical side. So dedicated finance members, I would say there's like 5 or 6 people there. You know, there's people that jump in and help around when they can. But we try to do our best with like the limited crew that we have, but we have like a really good group of students that are really hardworking, and we're able to get a lot out of them.
Right.
The grants writer are part of the finance team?
Yep, absolutely.
5 people roll on those grants.
So we obviously have our mentors, those 2 back there. They help review those grants to make sure, like for quality control, obviously, make sure nothing like slips by our members. But for the most part, they're all writing the rough drafts of those grants and then making sure that like they run it by a mentor first and then submitting it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And just on that note, so this larger group that is supporting you, so they are not part of the robotics team. They are part of other departments in the school that contributes to the robotics. How do you guys organize that?
So on Citrus Circuits, we have 7 different sub-teams. We have design, fabrication, electrical, that's the hardware side. We have software robot, we have the scouting sub-teams, and then we have business and media. So business and media is a dedicated sub-team on a robotics team. They're part of the robotics team fully. They can come to competition, they come to all the team meetings. And we sort of split the business and sort of media side of work between us. But for our team, and I think for your team as well, yeah, it's people on the robotics team that that are doing all this.
So when you talk about this additional, total 25 people, they are all part of the robotics team?
Yes, everyone
And they're just contributing
in a different way. Yes.
So they are in the other subgroups, but when you need it, you will pull them for help? Is that how it works? Okay.
So basically, people can choose like what portion of the team they want to work on. Do they want to work on the robot? Do they want to work on the business side, right? It's their choice, and they're able to contribute in whatever way that they think best suits their abilities and suits their interests.
But as you meant, sorry to push you, but I just
all
want
good.
to understand, because we're a smaller team, and I'm trying to think how we could allocate this. So you have the 5-6 people that are dedicated, and they are on that subgroup
Yes.
of business. So do you pull people from the other subgroups when you need more assistance with business, or do you have this 25 people generally involved with business?
So, we tried to do something like that last year. It wasn't entirely successful. We tried to implement a new thing where everyone on the team was required to submit a grant. We had like people get up in groups of 3 on the team, and they would all work together to submit grants. It wasn't the greatest idea because some people didn't have the skills necessary because of like their experience on the team. They hadn't worked in that kind of thing before, right? So we definitely do like pull people out if we need to, but for the most part, it is like those 5-6 dedicated members, and they're all just working together to make sure like as efficient as we can be. And they do a great job. Like I'll be honest, like they're very, very good at what they do. So.
So when you refer to this larger group, is more when you do events and things like that people help.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
And then additionally, Citrus Circuits, who are organizing the workshops, they also post all of the presentations,
Mhm.
and they have like a repertoire of like multiple years presentations also on their website, in
Right.
addition to what's on here.
So on our website, we have all the fall workshops. On our YouTube channel, we do have some recorded workshops, and that is also a great resource. You know, you came to this finance and business workshop. We're very glad you did. But maybe you want to know about design or electrical or any like software robot or even team structure and management. Like those things are huge for an FRC team, and the resources are all there.
So, for the smaller teams, I know it's really hard to figure out how to do the grants, finding sponsors, and something our team does, we've been doing the last few years, is a calendar fundraiser. So the calendar fundraiser is we take 1 month out of the year, so let's say October because it has 31 days. We give a calendar, a mock-up calendar of that month, we give it to every member on the team. And so they have to go and ask, in this case, they would say, to fill out the calendar, we're asking you to sponsor a bird brain for the day. So I may go to you and say, would you like to sponsor me for a day? So you pick the day of the calendar, so it would say you pick $10. That's all you donate, and that's the tax deductible. So if one student collects $496 from that 1 month, you multiply that by 10 students, that's close to $5,000. The team does not have to deal with any handling of product. And this is something the team can do together. That's more the team bonding, that they all come together and they're all trying to raise money for the team. So if you have 20 members, that's almost $10,000. So this actually, is a different way of generating funds for your team. Okay.
So like if I am as a team member, then I have 31 days to try to collect people to sponsor each one of my days. And it can be as little.
And a lot of the families, they post a copy it on their social media because their students may not have social media. And you have family, you have friends all over. And they're like, oh, I want to sponsor here. I want to sponsor on that day. Or a parent may, or a friend may say, oh, I'm going to take day number 2 and day number 31. It's a quick way of generating funds for your team. And again, because the mentors are really busy and the parents are really busy, you're not having to count, chocolate or whatever you guys sell. You don't have to deal with that. You just have the students collect the money.
Mm-hmm.
And we find that it's very successful. I think last year we raised over $6,000. So, and it's a great way for the team to bond and come together and feel like they're contributing.
Mm-hmm. And then we can provide to whoever the donors are just like a slip with their.
Yeah, and we have a link. We have the kids. They have a link to a QR code. They can go online. They can make the donation online, and then get the tax deductible receipt.
All right.
Is there anything else? Yes, in the front.
So how do you find all your grants?
Okay, so a big thing is keeping track of those past grants. But if you are starting from scratch, or maybe there aren't many grants in your database already, there are I know Chief Delphi has a lot of resources for grants. I know other teams have put together databases of common grants or really good grants for FRC teams, and this could depend on status. Like maybe you're a beginner team or a rookie team or a second year team, or you have some sort of quirk or something that makes you unique. that maybe would appeal to a certain grant. A big thing is also just research online. Like, it takes a lot of Googling to find maybe sponsor contacts, and that's the same for grants. So it's a lot of work to put in, but it does have a lot of output.
All right. Any final questions? Oh, right there.
I do like cold call email
Um,
will you email certain companies?
Yeah. So basically, if you're doing like cold emailing, it's similar to cold calling, except for the fact that you just have an email that you have the full thing written out already, right? So it's just like you email a company, you find whatever email they have provided on their website or whatever. You send them an email, and you just say basically what you would say in your cold call. You say all the things like, hey, we are from blah, 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 FRC team. We do all this stuff. We'd really appreciate if you would be willing to reach back out to us and we could maybe work out a partnership. Here is my sponsor packet for our team, all that kind of stuff, right? It's going to follow a very similar format, just in email form, right?
And oftentimes, you don't have to necessarily email their info. Like, sometimes you can dive deeper, search, like there are databases, maybe LinkedIn or other websites where you can find a person, like a literal employee email. A big thing is like the marketing or the business outreach, community outreach person. If it's a smaller company, you can go directly to the CEO, but getting that sort of email and a name is going to be really useful for the most part.
All right.
Guess we can wrap it up.
We're all
then.
good. Yeah, it's 6:20. I think we all want to go out of here. So.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for attending.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Really
you all.
appreciate it.